Misconceptions. That's what we're talking about.
Misconceptions about ENTJs or...
Yes, and ENFPs. I'll give you my feedback on that as well. So, misconceptions of both types.
Well, like, for sure, ENFPs are always talking about themselves, so... ENTJs, on the other hand, they don't. So we're going to clear some things. Do you want to start this or should I?
Go ahead.
Okay.
ENTJs?
So I'm going to start this with a statement. ENTJs, they're not assholes.
Throw that right out.
I'm throwing that right out.
Okay, it's out.
It's out.
Next. I think did I just defeat my point? Or your point? I know I didn't.
You see? He's not an asshole. Serious, he's not. Okay, he's not an asshole. Like, ENTJs are not assholes. If they're well developed, they're not assholes. Seriously. Like, they just want to move along. They are not trying to hurt your feelings. In fact, in other videos that we made, we were talking about FI. And, I mean, if you watch the video, you can tell. He obviously has very well developed FI. If the ENTJ is well developed, okay, from my experience, they are not trying to hurt your feelings. And just take it like that. Their main motivation is not your feelings. If your feeling function is either second or first, you might get butthurt because you think that they think like you. That's not the case. They don't think like you at all. They don't like... ENTJ is not thinking about emotions. It's not the primary concern. If you're feeling emotional, maybe that'll be their concern, but that's not their main motivation. The main motivation is to move along. What do we need to do to progress here? That's their main motivation. They're the reason why we're still here. I mean, if you actually think about it, all the theory and everything doesn't matter. Somebody needs to execute, okay? And I know I don't want to get too much off topic here, but they are not assholes. They are the reason why society is moving forward, and people should look at it like that. Look at every individual, not just the ENTJ, but it relates to them because everyone thinks this misconception. Look at everyone with open eyes, open hearts, open mind. That's what we're trying to say. Just everyone is a unique individual, and the ENTJ is no different. You have to look at this person as this person is actually doing something that I probably wouldn't attempt to do. Because most likely, they're trying to get somewhere that you're not trying to get. And you might be in their way. And they're going to probably try to be polite with you. So please, like, don't, from my perspective, just giving you like a little word of advice, guys. Don't look at ENTJs as assholes. I know Chad's viewer base is great and kind because, you know why. But others that see this video, just realize that ENTJ wants to move along. In fact, I can feel Chad's like breath like coming over here, like, get to the point, Danny. And I don't even get offended by it because he's right. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, that was okay. I guess that cleared up one of that common misconception. Relationships. You talked about ENTJs and their relationships and finding the right one before we started this video. Yeah. It was a really good point. I don't know if I'm trying to spark that to get you to go in that misconception. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Can you just...
I think you were talking about you knew an ESTJ and his relationship, and then you went into the dominant TE and the inferior FI in the relationship context.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to touch on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah,
and I'll chime in as necessary.
Okay. So, I have an ESTJ friend, and it's a different type than ENTJ, obviously, but they share the dominant and inferior function, the extroverted thinking, Dom, and inferior FI, okay? And I would observe my friend, a good friend of mine, I've known him for years. He had a girlfriend, and he still has a girlfriend, that I don't understand how these people live together. Excuse me. I mean, I've seen them fight time and time and on. It's hard for him to hide his like, he's harsh sometimes. I mean, that's the difference, I guess, between ESTJ and ENTJ. But he's a little bit harsh for my liking, but somehow his girlfriend sticks around. She's not. They get in fights, but that doesn't end it. My guess is, and I was saying, Chad, this, they must have some badass sex.
Well, there was something about, I guess he said ENTJ and their commitments too.
Yeah,
we'll talk about the sex.
No.
We're gonna get on the sex.
I wanted to talk about sex. Okay, I'm guilty, but
ENFPs and their sex. But yeah, it's more about the relationship.
Yeah, it's almost. I got the impression that despite the arguments that they had, the ESTJ was committed to this woman. He was not unfaithful in the least. He might have thought certain things as any guy does, but at the end of the day, he came home and he was committed to his girlfriend for all these years. In fact, my ex-girlfriend and I predicted that he and his girlfriend could not last for another year. And I ended up breaking up with my girlfriend, and he's still with his. Okay? So, that being the case, I've seen this more times than not, and I've also read about it, and then everything that Chad has talked about really points to this misconception that because ENTJ's inferior function is FI, they're not capable of loving somebody. That's just not true. It's not true. Because they actually want to find somebody that they can love, but they are not going to readily just surrender their heart. This person must be somebody that they can give their hearts to. That's somebody that is worthy of their love, because they are not in a position to just open up, because they have other things they have to think about. So they need somebody in their life that they can trust, that is not going to manipulate their feelings. And from the case of my friend, at least, even though he's an ESTJ, again, I have to clarify, his girlfriend is a very kind person that would not manipulate his feelings. I mean, me and my friend have been just messed up, drunk, and she was mad at both of us. Like, why are you guys so messed up? Like, she cared for us. You know, she cared for the both of us. She gave us a lecture. Like, I can't believe I had to come over here and pick you guys up. You know, you can't even get mad at her because she has a point. You know, it's like ESTJ, like, he found a good girl for him. And I guess I would say that ESTJs and ENTJs are the same in this way. They want that person that's not gonna manipulate their feelings.
I'm gonna chime in on this for a second.
Okay, great.
ENTJs, I don't know about ESTJs, but I do know that ENTJs do statistically have the highest non-divorce rate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've done a lot of studies on that. I've looked at it. Now, again, the validity of those studies, I can't say for certain. But I've seen a lot of different studies relating to Myers-Briggs personality typing and the lack of divorce rates. What this tells me, and not just that, but being an ENTJ myself, is that ENTJs look for something to commit to because of NI. They're looking for that single point. Ultimately, to say this is a lot of ENTJs may get upset because I say this, but we want commitment to a vision. A single.
Don't get upset, guys.
A single point. A single vision. And that vision encompasses all of our mini visions into one big vision. That could be this business with this type of relationship, with this type of car, if that's your dream, with this type of friendships, with this type of thing. And we want that person, that single person. So ultimately, I'm going to say ENTJs are typically monogamous.
No, I would say more than most types they would be.
Yes. And so I'm saying that in this regard. Now, I'm not saying that ENTJs are going to be monogamous.
They're not saints.
So what I'm saying is that ultimately, if they're finding someone that is not worth the commitment, then they're still going to explore their SE and experience. Okay? Because the NI is fulfilled when the end objective is attained. We want to give commitment. That's what we want. We love commitment.
Yeah.
We commit to our businesses, we commit to our visions, we commit to where we want to go forward. Now, again, this is a little bit of subjective, but I do feel that it's very likely for an ENTJ to set his focus on a very particular type of person,
Yeah.
and then never settle until they find it. And so very selective in that way.
I got a question, but finish your thought.
So very selective in that way. So very, very choosy. And yes, we'll date whatever. We'll date as many people as possible because of our experience. But ultimately, single point, single person that fulfills that vision. And once that commitment is given, an ENTJ will most likely not break it. It's just our personality. We commit, we stick to it, we do not give up, we do not quit, we will not lay down, we will not turn over, we will not roll over. We will fight for that relationship to last a lifetime. It's a one-time thing. Period.
You do not want to get in the way.
Do not get in the way.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Yeah. What was your question?
Sorry, guys. So, I know this might be a little bit of a subjective question, but I feel there might be some overlap. What sort of characteristics, or what kind of woman are you searching for? Like, what kind of characteristics do you desire in a potential wife, if you want to call it wife or partner? Because it seems like there's a very specific need, and like I said, it's subjective, but there must be some overlap here that other ENTJs could connect with.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
In order to understand this, you have to understand a little bit about my subjective experience.
Yeah.
As I've been through the ringer when it comes through life experience. I just have had unfortunate circumstances which put me in the position, in a good position. And in the beginning, it was a struggle, but recovering from that ultimately gave me a large life view, and it helped me grow myself in a lot of ways. So one of the reasons why MBTI has been so helpful. With that being said, because of this background that I've had, and it's ultimately about finding someone who can be kind. Kindness is a huge part. And I'm talking about a mesh between actions and words. Many times people have told me they love me, but many times their actions did not synchronize with that. Okay, so that's a huge part of it. It's kindness with synchronicity between saying or being kind and what they say. So there has to be a universal connection between those two things. It can't be, oh, I love you, and then you do something that directly contradicts that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very important to me. It's a value that I do not cross. That's a very important one. Another one is direction, ambition, and strength. Okay, I do not want someone to be a slave. I want someone to have their own dreams, their own purpose, and their own direction, and I want to empower people. That's what I do. I love to put people in positions where they feel empowered to accomplish anything they want to accomplish. My job is to enforce the ability to harness talent and move that talent forward and achieve that goal in everybody, including employees, including romance, including friendships. That's my ultimate duty. That's what I'm here for. And so definitely need that in a relationship as well. It's a very important key criteria as well.
Like self-sufficiency. You want
self-sufficiency. I'm looking for someone who has strength. Someone who can respect that. Gender role, very important for me. I typically like to be in a position of control. Not, I'm going to control you, but ultimately being a decision maker in the situation.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's very important to me. And I'm sure a lot of people in this day and age will disagree, or they will not like that, and that's okay. It's just not for me. And so I run it a certain way that I feel is the best, and I want that person to be able to not say that, oh, I don't get a decision, but to fully, 100% trust that I will make the best decision, not only for me, but the best decision for a family. And they must trust that. Yeah, not that their input isn't welcome. Their input is always welcome, but they must trust that I will make the best decision given all circumstances. And that's really important to me too, is that kind of trust. There has to be such a trust there. I have to trust that person enough equally. That's the key. There has to be trust. Respect. I don't want to be seen as a person that has a level of that I disrespect them. I want there to be an equal amount of respect. There has to be respect. That respect is very important for me. And in return for respect, love is given.
Right.
For me, love has to be given. It's not something I really care to receive. It's something I want to give. It's a commitment. And so the person that's receiving this has to understand commitment and the value of a commitment and why I'm holding on to it. And I'm going to set aside political correctness, and I'm going to say there's it's like a virgin wanting to not give up her virginity. I don't want to. Virgin. Yeah, pretty much. And so it's like that where they don't want to give that up. I don't want to give up my commitment unless I know that this person understands how much it's worth. And so that's really important too. They have to understand that. Otherwise, I will not give it up. And so, like I said, it's like a virgin in the beginning where they're not wanting to give up that virginity because my commitment is worth so much.
No, yeah.
It really is. If I'm committed, I'm committed. There's no cheating in my book. Zero. The thought is gone.
And you would know by the type of person that they wouldn't cheat on you. At least.
If they cheat, that's on them. I'm talking about my side.
True. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it's like I'm going to give you my love. I'm going to give you what I can give you.
What I'm trying to say is you can't blindly love someone. You have to assume they wouldn't.
Right.
I mean, we're like for the sake of telling your viewers that you're not blindly loving this person either. You see certain things in them, right, that make you believe that this person that would stay faithful to you and they would not, cheat on you. Sorry.
And if it happens, it happens. But at least I did what I could, and I fulfilled my commitment. The commitment is violated at that point.
Yeah.
But I fulfilled my commitment, which means I did exactly what I wanted to do. Now, getting that is not easy.
No.
And I won't give it easy. There's no way. I will die alone if I have to before I give that up. That's how I am.
It's not true.
Shut up. Yes, it is. So, that's the truth. I won't give it up. I will not give up that commitment. And I will keep doing the other things I do.
No, that's not what I meant. I said it's not true that you're going to die alone.
Oh, well, in that case, who knows? I can't predict the future. But I can say that should the right person come along, it'll start with standard dating, and then it'll move in that direction. So just to give you that touch base, those are some really important values. That's not the whole list, but it really roots down into being in touch with those values, and then being able to, the most important one to me is the capability of being a good mother in a society that encourages terrible development with children. Okay?
That's another topic, but yeah, I know what you mean.
That is huge for me. And then the question, I guess the follow-up question would be, what constitutes a good mother? And that is a whole other topic in itself.
But I would say it's more related. Yeah,
it's a very, very important thing. Is what really does make a good mother. What is those things that we can talk about that will exploit that type of thing. And we can get in that another time. At this point, it's just ultimately let's stay on topic of what's important and what we're looking for in this particular video about sexuality between these types and what we're really looking for long-term commitments and that type of thing. So ultimately, it's the sexuality and intimacy of my particular character that I would say a lot of ENTJs may be able to relate to. I don't know a lot of ENTJs. I know a few, but I don't know a lot. I could be totally wrong in typing it as ENTJ when it really could just be me. But
I think it's pretty spot on. If you ask me, I don't know many ENTJs either, but the way I see it, Chad is like Chad is a healthy ENTJ, so any healthy ENTJ should be able to relate at some level with what he's saying. Your subjective experience is one thing, but what he's saying might ring a bell to you in terms of what you're looking for in a potential mother, potential life partner. So, like, really, I don't think that you would be wrong in many of the things you say.
No, I'm not saying that. Like I said, it's not a fact that it's ENTJs. It could just be me, but I think it's just important for us to get these particular criteria out there, and if that criteria is being addressed, I think that ultimately other ENTJs will be more likely and less reluctant to expose and try to work on touching base with their FI function.
Yeah.
It's not easy for me to share these things because they're things I've thought about for so many years and really not expressed it. But I'm at a point now where I'm touching base with my FI and getting in root and deep with that FI and getting people to understand the functionality of FIs and how it operates in ENTJs. And it really is the guiding compass of every decision we make. It's like at the end of the road, I've been building business. I work in business. I study. I read. Everything I've ever done, it really roots down to one thing. At the end of the day, to take that knowledge and pass it on to a future generation. Everything I've ever done, that's what it is. So a woman is a big part of that picture. And to sit here and deny that we aren't seeking other people would be flawed. And so, granted, it may not be my own kids. It may be somebody else I stumble across in the future, but I'm going to find a way to pass on what I've learned through this life to the next. So I will say this.
He's being very humble, but really...
Yeah.
It makes sense, but I'm just saying.
I will say this, though. I will say that...
I'm calling him out.
I will say that kids, having children and having family is a very important thing for me. And
yeah.
But it's the right family. I'm not willing to compromise. I'm not willing to compromise who I'm with. And I really, in my heart, this as crazy as this sounds, I don't think marriage is a hard thing. I think that finding the right person for marriage is a hard thing. And we typically take the shortest road, and that makes marriage a hard thing.
Man, that makes my FI go into overdrive. I have to butt in. Sorry.
Go ahead.
But it's just like, you are seeing it for yourselves, guys. Like, this guy right here, like, no, I know this is an ENFP's perspective, okay? So it's going to have all sorts of warm fuzzies. But it's because I feel these, and I'm sure people on your channel will see this. This guy is legit. Like, ENTJs are legit. When they're healthy, these people really are probably, I would say, them. I don't even know about ESTJs because it's a different comparison here. But when you're talking about ENTJs, like, I don't know if even I, as an ENFP, would make such a good partner. And we can get into that later. But I'm just saying in the sense that it might feel for an ENTJ that it's difficult to find the right partner. But as Chad said, marriage doesn't necessarily have to be difficult. It's actually very simple. If you know exactly how to manage and how to take care of the marriage and keep growing it. You have to keep watering it, like you have to keep nurturing it. You cannot let it wither and dry out, like many people tend to do with their marriages. You have to keep growing on it and building on it. And everything he said about what he's looking in a potential mate, to me at least, from my point of view, seems like something everyone should strive for. Everyone should strive for trying to find a person that they can let be independent with, and at the same time love that person, and with that stated love and that stated independence between each other, that self-sufficiency, like you were hinting at with mates, will lead to a happy marriage where both partners in the relationship will not ever feel a sense of fear or a sense of distrust. There's always a sense of security in the relationship, because you know that at the end of the day, like, whatever needs to get done will get done. That's sort of the feeling and the vibe that I get. My FI is like picking that up. Like, you're looking for that right person, and you mentioned all the characteristics, and that's why I asked you that question, because you have a very good idea of what you were looking for, and now you're just setting out to look for it. And that's something very noble to me, because sometimes I don't like. That's why I want to make another video about this. But as an ENFP, I don't always have that. Sometimes I find it difficult, and that's what I admire about ENTJs, and that's something we can learn from them. Okay, Don't just look at the surface. Don't just look at what you don't like. Because whatever you don't like is usually a representation of something that you are ignoring in yourself. Simple. We're not asking you to be an ENTJ, but we are just asking you to really try to be more open-minded and take some advice from Chad here, because a lot of things he's saying I think could apply to anyone, and these are his personal interests and his personal preferences in what he likes. So we don't all want to be like that, but that's not the point. The point is to have a sense of authenticity and a love. I don't know if you want to kind of take.
I do. We want to. Like I said, you want to be able to. I think a lot of the problems that a lot of ENTJs have, ESTJs, or anybody with an inferior FI function, or even maybe an inferior FE function, is we don't really know what we want at a default level, because that function is underdeveloped naturally. It's an inferior function. I think it's important that you listen to people who have more powerful FI if you really want to know where your values are. One trait that I always had was I always wanted to learn from people smarter than me. I always wanted to just figure it out, like, what am I missing? And it's actually really, I have really benefited from a shitty life. And I say that in general because it has shown me so much beauty in the world. Now that I've gotten my ass kicked so many times, it's like I see what there is. I see what is. And it forced me to get in touch with myself. I think a lot of the problems of today's society is we're being put in a position where so many kids are now, not a lot of kids, but a good amount of kids are being essentially so protected that they can't really get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
And the way I was raised was get in the ring and put your gloves on, and if you get knocked down, get your ass back up. And that's the way I was raised. And that's, you're not staying down. And that is you cannot do that. And I think it was that mentality I carried up through my life, and I knew that if I didn't get in touch with what I wanted, it could have led to a crisis, because I didn't even know what I wanted. But now it's like, as I've gotten older, I've been able to touch base with those values and find out what I really wanted. I can almost explain my FI with TE, not great, but it's like I can almost explain it, because I've become so almost in touch with it. I know what I value, and I value every person's life. It's like whoever's sitting in front of me, I value that person's life. I don't value the superficialities. I don't give a shit if that person, walked left or walked right. I don't give a crap if the person had a bad day. What's really important is, to me, from an FI user standpoint, is how is that person's life going to be overall? What is the big spectrum of that person's life? Does this event today that gave them a bad day, will it affect them 20 years from now? Will it affect them 10 years from now, 5 years from now? How much will it affect them? Yeah. So if it's a micro event, which I know they'll get over in a week, I don't give a shit. I'm like, oh, tough luck, you'll get over it. And so this is where people think ENTJs are assholes. Mm-hmm. Because well, at least me, when I'm assumed to be an asshole, which I'm okay with saying I'm an asshole, doesn't bother me, but if you look at it from just a face-to-face value, and I go, oh, you'll get over it, naturally you're going to think, okay, what an asshole. But if you understand the psychology behind it, why I said that, and what I really want to do for you at a core level, you will move right past it, and you'll go, he's looking out for me.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's about. And when it gets into a relationship, it's the same thing. How much merit does this issue have? How much merit does it bring to the table? Because I'm using introverted intuition to look at your future.
Yeah.
I'm looking at how far this problem is going to magnify. And I'm going to say, this problem is not going to affect you as much as you think. So let's just go play a board game and get over it. Or whatever it takes to get over it. And
yeah, no.
It's like we immediately want to solve the problem. And so that's a huge perspective for people to understand about ENTJs, and ultimately the side of getting in touch with those values. So when you're an ENTJ or an ESTJ, you want to sit around people and stop trying to portray something that you think you are and start trying to develop things that you think you're not. And when you do that, you get a world of experience where you realize what is you and what is not you.
Yeah.
It's like at one point I was forced to become like an introverted, feeling dominant, and be, in a sense, like not care about anything. I was almost to the point where I was supposed to not care about something. Somebody mentored me and told me to just give up on all goals and ambitions. So I tried it.
Yeah.
I tested it, and it didn't work for me. But one thing it gave me was perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm all for living through those experiences and being able to really fine-tune what you're looking for. So without getting too far off point, I'm going to shift the conversation back to where we were going with this was this relationship aspect that people are struggling through is ENTJs don't know what they want at a core level. They don't know what they want, so a lot of ENTJs will get married early. They'll get married, at this age, and they'll commit. But they may not be happy in their relationship.
They may not be happy, but that's the thing. They will actually
stick by it.
Yeah, that's to run full circle.
So it's really important that you, and I think I'll get a lot of people disagreeing with me on this, and this is okay. I encourage disagreement like I encourage in all my videos as long as it's done professionally.
Yeah.
I will not respond to trolling or stupid comments. If it's done in a very professional way, I encourage it. I love hearing feedback from people and different thoughts because that's how we grow.
Yeah.
I look for respect. That's a mutual respect between multiple types. Anyway, point is, I think that the problem is that people are getting, because it worked 50, 70 years ago, people are getting married too young. It's like in the mid-20s, there's a pressure that's instituted by society. Like, oh my God, I got to get married or else.
Or else everyone else is going to have babies and
yes.
I'm not.
Right, and I'm going to be behind. And if you don't feel that pressure, you'll start feeling the pressure when all your friends are getting married.
Yeah.
So they're feeling the pressure, they're getting married, and then all of a sudden you're feeling the pressure and you're like, I gotta get married. So what happens when you feel this pressure is you feel this urge to get married and your standards are gonna go boom, 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 and they're gonna go down. And so now you may...
That's a big no-no.
Yeah, you may have this wonderful person, but it's not the right person, okay? Just because they're wonderful doesn't mean they're wonderful for you.
Yes.
And it's really important to understand that. I think everybody's great. But I also know what's good for me and what's not.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's like medication. There's some medications that are good for you, and if I take it, it's not good for me.
Exactly.
But if someone else does, it may save their life. So it's the same thing. You can't rate it off of good or bad. You can rate it what's good for you or what's not good for you. And the people are getting married so young without those experiences and without the mentorship, and they're having this issue all of a sudden of, this crisis almost. And I've seen it consistently. I used to be a personal trainer, and I'd see these women. This is bad, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've seen these women that are in their 40s. They're the ones who want to go through this crisis where they're like, oh, I want to get fit again. And if you remove all the crap at the surface, what you find out underneath, and it's really interesting, is a woman who's missing something, and she's trying to get it back. And what it is she's missing. She's really regretting, almost in a sense, the marriage, and she's looking for somebody else. So that's why trainers are notoriously known for affairs with their clients.
I didn't know that.
Because, and not all trainers, but a lot of trainers violate that principle and violate that line because these women are trying to get beautiful again to go back on the market, in a sense. They're looking for something else.
That's true. Yeah.
And not all of them. It's very common, but it's not all of them. I've seen some pretty ones that are just set and stable, and then I've seen ones that are just like, they're looking for something else. And that shouldn't be at all. In your 40s, you should be enjoying life and not worrying about looking for something else you didn't have.
Yeah, I agree.
And usually what I've seen is a trend with these women, and it's not necessarily the cause, but it's like they got married early, and they really didn't have a taste of experience, and they're like, what could have been? Like I said, I encourage possibility.
Yeah.
The opportunities are still there for them. But when you go through the screening process and you've dated quite a few people and you know what's out there and you all of a sudden connect with somebody and you have this fusion between somebody and okay, this person, I have to look at this objectively, okay? This person I connected with on an emotional level, but the values I have, do they mesh? This person's a great person, but do their values mesh with mine? Here's what I need. I need someone to provide me with inspirational, deep conversation that helps stimulate my thinking to make me feel important. I need that. That's my own personal standard. I cannot have somebody that I'm linked with for life that's purely surface level stuff. It has to pierce deep. And
speaking of deep, sorry.
Yeah, but let me finish this real quick. Hold on 1 second.
Of course, yeah.
It has to pierce deep. And I'm not saying deep as in I'm deep and you're not. I'm saying the sense of I like to pierce underneath the surface. I like to go underneath the surface of topics. It's not like, oh, how was your day? Great. And then it's like, the weather's nice. Oh, that's nice. See, my conversation is, why is it raining for 7 days in a row? Now, I'm going to go deep in this. Why is it raining for 7 days in a row? Oh, okay. See, all of a sudden, there's this cloud formation here. And I want to know why that works. I want to know what's up. I want to know the deal. And so if we're going to talk about the weather, let's freaking talk about the weather.
Yes. No surface conversation here.
Yeah, I want to know. So I need that. It helps me. And I don't know a lot about weather, but the point is, I'm going to find out if you know a lot about weather or not. Let's pull out Google and find out about weather. But either way, if we're going to talk about weather, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean, and I need that personally in a relationship. If you're not that way, then you're going to need something else, or maybe you want someone who's that way. But ultimately, trying to blend something that you know you can't have because this person's great, he's a great guy or a great girl, and females are really guilty of this because the females have it hard. I think they almost have it harder than males because literally they have to sit and wait for guys to come up to them. They have to sit and wait.
Yeah.
Guys can go, screw this, and I'm going to start talking to every girl on the planet, and guys can just boom, 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 and just knock them out. Women have to sit and wait until the perfect guy. And if they wait for freaking 10 years and the guy hasn't come along, women are getting really anxious. And they may start beating themselves up. So I really feel like women...
It's true. We're going on a tangent, but...
Yeah, I really feel like women have a disadvantage in this area. And it's really unfortunate because, where do you go? And that's a whole nother topic. So, but let me... because I think you should end it, But, It's definitely true because it is overlapping. But I mean, you guys, just to bring it full circle, and you can have the closing statement right now when you hear what I say. It just goes to show, guys. Once again, the ENTJ is looking out for you guys. I look out for you, but for people just naturally wanna. Oh, ENFP's looking out for me. The ENTJ here, he's looking out for you, maybe even more so. Because he really has this experience, and through all the life experiences that ENTJs might have, at least from what Chad has shared with me, they have to overcome all sorts of different difficulties, and even then they're not inclined to ultimately screw anybody over. The ENTJ really just wants to better themselves and in the process better you. Sometimes an ENTJ knows what's best for you, even if you might not know what's best for you. But the whole thing is about he's ENTJ, or he or she is ultimately trying to bring out the best in you. He's trying to see, or she's trying to see what is possible. I mean, you're a human being. If he appreciates who you are, his goal or her goal is to bring out the best in you. And I think that's sort of the goal that we're trying to do as a group here, I think. And just try to open yourselves up when it comes to not being afraid to interact with somebody else. Be yourself. There's going to be many a time when you're going to feel that this person may not be the right one, and maybe most of the time they might not be. Trust that intuition, trust that gut feeling, because that ultimately will bring you happiness. I mean, I know I'm getting a little off topic, but it really goes full circle because I don't know how to word this. But yeah, I mean, you have to trust your intuition. You have to trust what you feel, what makes you happy. It's only important. That's the main key. I can't stress that enough. And well, actually, would like Chad to end this because I've already said enough about ENTJs, and I think he should close it up, stating that something that you have to change your view of what you think you see.
because what you think you see is not always the case. It's not always the case. That's just kind of what I'm trying to say.
I'm going to jump in here and say that this too, for the sole fact that, we have to start being honest with where we're at in our relationships with people as a society and who we are individually. We have to be honest. One of the key honesty is to stop labeling things based on protecting people's feelings. Okay? I guess you can call this political correctness. That's okay. But in the sense of, let me put it this way. If you have a sexual relationship, it's a sexual relationship. Don't call it my boyfriend-girlfriend thing. Okay? It's strictly sex, and try not to justify it and label it to make yourself feel better. It's sex. Okay? If you can do that, you're automatically going to be able to recognize immediately what it is, and then you can have a lot more control over it. If you call it something it's not, you're really just lying to yourself, and you're wasting a lot of time and effort, unnecessary effort. Like, this is a sexual relationship, but I'm going to buy some gifts. Okay, why? Why? Like, let's be straight. Okay? Yeah. Like, don't get confused.
It's true.
And so, the biggest thing is just being straightforward. It's a sexual relationship. Don't make it sound like a committed one.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I don't care if you're a woman or a man. Go have sex.
No, I agree.
Like, honestly, I don't give a crap if it's, if that's what you feel. And I'm sorry, but women who have sex, it's a stupid double standard. Men who have tons of sex are cool. Women who have tons of sex are like sluts. That's a double standard. That's bullshit. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so let's just throw that out the window and say everybody can have as much sex as they want. Okay?
Sure.
Like, I don't give a shit about that. Let's just throw that out there, because honestly,
I mean, really,
women, this is the message to women watching this video is, you, just like guys, need experience. Why should we say, well, that's not right, she's been with like X amount of guys? Well,
I can't tell you, because if I tell you, you're going to think I'm a slut or something.
Yes, and if the guy, let me put it this way, if the guy thinks you're a slut, he's really just, he's already put a double standard on himself. Okay?
It's like, then we have to, if we were going to go that deep, and I don't want to go that deep, what is fundamentally the difference between a penis and a vagina? I mean, really, that's, if you want to look at it that way, because if both of these people have the right equal rights to sex, then you're almost analyzing a body part. Because if a girl decides to have as much sex as a guy does, what's really the fundamental difference? It's just a body part. Like, that's the way I see it. Why do we see it as such a difference? If it's just
it's society and moral implications. That's societal and moral implications that are associated with that. But as we move into this liberal New Age society,
it's inevitable.
It's inevitable. And we just need to cut to the chase and say it's okay. Yeah. Because honestly, there are bigger concerns to worry about than how many people...
Yay for gay rights!
...you've had sex with. Okay? There's bigger concerns on the table than how many people, what your count is. Okay? Shit, I never count. I don't even know. Like, I don't even count. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And I just said the F word, sorry. But it is. It's totally stupid. And I think it's a egotistical thing. I think it's a pride thing. I think and honestly, if a guy judges you on that and you can't be honest, then it's probably not the right guy for you. Like, move the hell on. Stop. Again, we're going back to the point. Don't try to change the person you're dating. Find the person who accepts you as is. Do not start your relationship on lies. Do not start your relationship on lies. Be honest. Talk to somebody that you can be totally honest with. Be trustworthy. Somebody you can trust at the fullest extent. And that's what I'm talking about. A relationship is about trust. And if you're starting it on lies, then what the hell are you doing to yourself and that relationship? And you're wasting someone else's life. That's like why I hate drunk drivers so much, because you put someone else's life at risk. In a relationship, you're putting someone else's time at risk and their emotional integrity at risk.
Yeah.
And it's important that you consider those implications before you start building a relationship built on lies. And if you feel the need that you have to lie about things, maybe you should reconsider yourself. What do you really deserve? You know, and that's where I feel we're missing the mark. We're really missing the mark in this human sexuality era, And the sexuality in a relationship, in a healthy relationship, is a direct marker of how healthy a relationship is. And so,
I agree.
Yeah, if your relationship is starting to get a little inconsistent on sex, then there's probably some kind of underlying issue there.
Definitely.
It's usually deeply rooted psychology. There's something going on, or something in that relationship going on that is just not there, and it may be an insecurity, it may be a thought, it may be a lingering feeling, it may be a passing emotion. And yes, people are different. There's going to be conflict, but a successful, healthy relationship doesn't have to be hard. Conflicts aren't hard. It's how we solve and approach those conflicts which is hard.
Yeah.
And so if we can look at conflicts, like, okay, I'm looking at my mate right here, right? I'm looking at my partner in life. I'm looking at him and I'm going, okay, I'm not upset with you. Here's the issue. You and I work together to solve this issue. It's not about you, okay? Here's the issue. If we can identify the issue as something outside of ourselves...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We can intangibly fix the issue without...
The issue is here. Yeah, it's not here.
Without judging each other. And that takes a level of maturity that even most people don't even have. Yeah. It's like they get emotional about it. It's like your fault. Instead of saying, look, here's the issue, okay? This is a repeated pattern. Let's fix it, okay? I want to get over this crap. No, It's not about you, okay? It's about maybe how you've handled this issue.
It's like, this problem is not making me happy, and ultimately, I think it's not going to make you happy, because if I'm not happy, you're not going to be happy. This relationship is not going to work as smoothly as it could. So let's be mature about it, and let's try to look at things as the problem is out here. Just like you said, we can fix it.
Yeah, you got to look at it objectively. You cannot judge the person from the issue itself. And so, but it starts. The issues are present when you look at the human sexuality. You can tell there's an issue. As the sex starts declining, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, it's not because they became unattracted to you all of a sudden, okay? They became unattracted to you not because you got older, not because any of that shit. They became unattracted to you because some kind of underlying problem. That's
True.
why.
Yeah.
It's like, because I'll tell you this, no matter how freaking beautiful you are, if you date any guy for a short period of time, they're automatically going to start seeing you as normal. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't care if you are a 10 out of 10, maximum, most beautiful girl on the planet, you will become normal. So it's no longer about looks. So if you're relying on that crap right now, you better stop. Like, I'm dead serious. It will become very normal. Now, it can be reinforced by people saying, oh, your girlfriend's so hot. Oh my God, that girl's so hot. Okay, and it could reinforce it for a little bit. It's like a little pat on the back and going, oh, great, I got a hot girlfriend. And then you feel good for a few days, and then you're back to looking at Miss Normal.
Sorry, but this kind of like brings thoughts to me of like, and we cannot possibly go into this topic, but it's like America's obsessed with like beauty and like remaining youthful, and this obsession with
self-love.
outer appearances and like self-love is good, but it all stems with sort of maybe society feeding some primal fears into females, and it's just getting reinforced constantly by the females as like insecurity that is then fed by many males that now believe that the standard that is created is the standard that all women should have, even though not all men might agree with this. In fact, most men probably don't. And that's just to kind of go back to what you were saying. Most men probably don't actually think this. It's actually just a figment of your imagination. Self-love is great. Loving yourself in such a superficial way is not real love at all.
Well, judging who you are on the surface.
Yeah, I mean it's great to look great on the outside. I mean, Chad convinced me to dress up for this because, you know.
Well, I wanted a professional vibe, but he's totally destroyed that in that 2 seconds.
I just destroyed that. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you get the point. You get the point. I just made the point. Trust me, I made the point.
Yeah. Right. Was that it?
That was it.
Okay. So yeah, it's just it's like we're judging everything based on physical attraction, which is important. It needs to be there first to initiate spark and give someone enough motivation to talk to someone. But if you're a woman watching this, okay, I am sure if you have experienced having to shut down guy after guy after guy, and you've came up with shortcuts. Like the minute a guy says something, it's like, oh, get lost. Okay, you're looking for Mr. Charm and Mr. Smooth and Mr. This. How about you give a guy a few seconds to talk? Just wait. Just wait. You don't know what this guy has to offer the world.
Yeah.
You don't know who this guy is. I mean, he may be really awesome, okay? But he also may think that you're, he may think that you're not very cool. Maybe he's just doing it as a passive thought. Oh, she's kind of cute. I'll talk to her. And then if you reject him, he's not going to be so persistent to pursue you because he's got 3 other girls over here. He's going to be like, okay, I don't need you, and then he goes away. And look at those missed opportunities that you're getting just by not giving a guy a chance to talk. Now, if he's a total dirtbag, get rid of him. But I mean, at least give a casual conversation. And I think every woman should agree to a first date with pretty much anyone.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, a first date with pretty much anyone. So that's my thought on that process. It's just first date all the time, unless the guy just totally approaches you so offensively, then I wouldn't worry about it. But ultimately, I think it's really important. So that's my viewpoint on that. Anyway, we're going to end this for now, but we'll catch you all later.